Hi, Janice Montalvo, living in Lenawee Realty, and I got to travel to Adrian today to meet with Tracy Ventola. And Tracy, tell me what you do.
I'm the Child Welfare Director at Catholic Charities, so we work with children placed in foster care and children who also are available for adoption.
That's awesome. So we're kind of partnering this beautiful month of February, what's left of it, collecting gift cards. And they can be restaurants, sporting goods, activities, they can be Walmart, Myers, any kind of a general store. Tell me why there's a need for those gift cards.
When children come into foster care, they oftentimes have just the clothing on their back. So they come into care under different circumstances from school or abusive or neglectful environments, and so it's an emergency usually. So when they come in, they're being placed into a foster home with no items at all, and that's usually late in the evening. So we have a couple of different reasons we use gift cards to help with supplementing clothes or PJs. We also use it for like the foster family when a child comes in. It's pretty traumatic for the child, and so the family's trying really hard to be thoughtful and considerate in meeting that child's needs. And sometimes dinner is really tough to do too. So we might offer a gift card for let's order pizza tonight.
I was like, that's always good comfort food for me too.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, they're extremely helpful in so many different ways. So we, you know, children sometimes come into care and our foster home may be ready for kids that are older and they have a twin bed, but then there's a baby that comes along with the, you know, the child that fits in the twin bed, and then they don't have a crib. So then we're rustling to get a crib for that child that night. So, you know, gift cards are very helpful in those situations.
And I mean, we started it like at the beginning of the month. So we've gotten some really neat ones in. We talked about, we got Danley's and several restaurants and Walmart. So, you know, any kind of variety and any kind of amount that will help offset the needs.
Yes, exactly.
So in your dealings in Lenawee County with foster care, about how many kids do we have in the foster care system, in case people aren't aware? I mean, there's other agencies outside of Catholic Charities as well.
There are, in Lenawee County, there's 3 agencies. So there's myself, which is Catholic Charities, and then there's Fostering Solutions and the Department of Health and Human Services. So I have roughly about 70 kids in my program, give or take. And I would say the other 2 programs probably have equal, if not more, too. So with the department. So, you know, we're looking at, well, somewhere roughly around 250 kids maybe?
Wow.
Probably, something like that, yeah.
So we kind of joke back and forth. There was pre-COVID and then there's COVID and then there's gonna be post-COVID.
Right.
So just like needs of other community needs, do you feel like the need for foster care has gone up with COVID or down with COVID?
The state of Michigan is really in a crisis for need for foster homes and foster parents. So, you know, an example I would give is I have about 70 kids in my program that all need homes and placements, and sometimes those kids can go to relatives, but a lot of times they can't. And so, you know, I have 12 foster homes currently, which is really, when you think about that, it doesn't even out.
She's not putting 70 kids into 12
No.
homes, just FYI. We talked about this ahead of time.
No, exactly. So, you know, we borrow foster homes from one another, and across the state, we all work together to make sure children get matched with the appropriate home, but there just aren't enough of them. If you have it in your heart at all to foster or try to provide for a child, we'd be more than willing to talk with you about that and help you get in that process and get a license.
So what does that process? Is it long, like, you know?
The process is, it's roughly somewhere between 3 and 6 months to get licensed.
So you should start now if you're thinking about it as you're watching this video.
Exactly. You know, there's some paperwork that needs to be provided and turned in. We of course have to ensure that, you know, people don't have any history of abuse or neglect of children. And so, you know, there's some clearancing that has to be done. We walk you through all of that though, and then from there you would get licensed through the state. You talk a lot with the social worker, come to your house, meet with you, talk about what's appropriate for your house, what you're interested in, what's a good match for you. You know, I kind of kid that, you know, adoption and foster care is a lot like marriage, right? Like we have to match up people well. Like some people we get along with, some people we don't. So getting to know your family is important for us to then be able to put the right child in your home also.
That kind of makes sense. So, and I'll have Maria put the information. So they should start by contacting Catholic Charities.
Yes, they can contact me directly. Our main number here is 517-263-2191. You can ask for myself.
just for clarification, do you have to be Catholic to utilize Catholic Charities? I
No.
always love this question.
No, you do not have to be Catholic at all to work with our agency in any of our programs.
Right.
You know, which is always is important to put out there, because I think sometimes there is a lot of misconception. You know, we have a call to do this type of work, but it has nothing to do with you having to be Catholic.
Yeah, so it's open to anyone in Lenawee
It
County.
is, all of our services, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're gonna be, like, when you place a child in foster care, right, like, how long are they typically there?
Parents are usually given about a year,
Okay,
or 365 days from the time they come to the court's attention to rectify the conditions that brought the children into foster care.
okay,
So, you know, a lot of things we see are substance abuse, domestic violence, poverty. So, you know, we're working with the family that entire time, trying to connect them with services that they may need. They may need counseling. A lot of our families have been through some very traumatic events that have resulted in them being here with us. Their kids have experienced a lot of trauma. So we're always working with the kids and the families to try to fix that. And so we do that for about a year. The court gives them about a year. And with, you know, there's some requirement that that has to be done timely, because kids can't linger in our system. It doesn't go well for them.
right,
So after a year, there's a lot of determination usually of, is it safe for them to go home, and can they go home? Which, you know, when kids go home, we also use gift cards to help with food and, you know, all of those different things, and getting the family situated. They might need blinds or something like that, and there's a lot of visitation back and forth and stuff. Sometimes our families need help with gas and gas cards and things like that. So if it's determined that they can't go home safely, we do have an adoption program here. So termination of parental rights sometimes can be taken and terminated, and then the children are placed for adoption.
so when we say kids, we say what ages are kids in the foster care system?
Really any age, from 0 to 17 typically, you can see a child from the foster care. Older children, typically, if they're just a sibling that's older, you don't see them so much in our foster care system. They try to kind of, I think, work with families and work with supports on families to help those kids stay out in care. But you sometimes will see them if they're attached to like a large sibling group or something along those lines, and it's quite dangerous for everybody.
Right, it makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had to pick one gift card from one or two different places, what do you feel like the most need is?
Oh, wow, that's a tough one. Sometimes I feel like Meijer or Walmart are really useful, because there's a variety of uses, exactly.
There's even pizza there.
Yeah, and we even, you know, can, you know, help all of our families, foster families, birth families, foster children, like everybody to make placements smooth and make kids have good experiences while they're here.
So, I always have to ask, other than, being a foster parent, is there other opportunities to volunteer with you?
You could definitely, make contact with us to volunteer if you're
Okay.
interested, and, you know, you have to do some clearancing because there's a lot of confidentiality around our families
Absolutely,
and kids, of course,
yeah.
and so we were serious about that.
She let me in, but she didn't do a background check, so it's okay.
That's right, so, yeah, but yeah, you could definitely reach out, and we have a lot of opportunities through Catholic Charities in different ways.
So, tell me, just one reason, I mean, you've worked in this industry, I mean, it has to have a high burnout rate, unfortunately.
Yeah.
What keeps you motivated every day to come in and do this work?
Families do. I've done this 25 years. This has been my entire
She started when she
career.
was 12.
Yes. And so I just feel very drawn to it the moment I started in the work. I came upon it as an internship from
Okay.
college, and I didn't know anything about foster care. And then once I got here, I was like, this is just my thing. I love it. And it's wonderful to help families to overcome trauma and, you know, reunite and be able to function better in their home setting. And then it's also, you know, wonderful to be able to help kids get better outcomes if it's necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna be collecting gift cards through the end of the month.
Okay.
If somebody doesn't make it by February 28th, we'll not cut them off by any means.
Right.
And they can drop them off at 108 West Chicago Boulevard in downtown Tecumseh. I always say, we're to the left if you're standing in front of what used to be the Spotted Cow and the Stimson and Associates building. Up front, they can drop them off. We'd love to get a picture, just to share. But, you know, I think that one of the things we take for granted is that someone else is taking care of the foster care children. And that's not, you know, we as a Lenawee County are always so giving, and this is just one way that we can help give back. So, any kind of gift cards you have, it could be $5, it could be $100. I think that, you know, it could go towards a bed, it could go towards pizza, it could go towards skating. And like, I look at up and down, like, what kind of things do you need? And so there's so many, you know, somebody comes in and wants to play soccer. Well, I mean, so do you have to be rich to be a foster parent?
No, you do not. You can't get rich being a foster parent either, so that's
I mean,
one thing I
in your heart, but
yeah.
not in your wallet.
Yeah, exactly. There's a small stipend of money. It by far does not accommodate you to provide for kids, but they do provide a daily rate of money, and then they also provide like clothing allowance once a year for like or twice a year for around $110. That's supposed to cover all clothes, shoes, boots, jackets, all those things. Yeah. It doesn't cover a lot. So these types of things are really helpful too, because you know, Johnny comes in and has no winter coat and he has no shoes on. We definitely have to spend that right away, you know, and get them those provisions. It's just
And I think one of the things we talked about before, it's not like you have a closet in your office that you can store a crib and a twin size bed and a coat and size, you know, so these last minute, I mean, I feel like when we're transferring children, it's an emergency situation. So being able to have a small gift card sitting in her desk makes a lot more sense than, you know, trying to figure out where we're gonna put, you know, we're fortunate right now to have the foster closet, but you know, things are changing there too. So, are there other needs that you have other than the gift cards at this point?
I mean, the biggest really is fostering, you know, foster parents. If you have it in your heart, you know somebody who has mentioned wanting to foster, we definitely are always looking for foster parents. That's probably our biggest one. And you mentioned a little bit about, you know, kid playing soccer and things like that. I feel very strongly, and our program has a very strong component of wanting our children to feel connected to our community and the importance of them being connected to the community. And so we want them out doing things. If, you know, if they like art, we put them in art classes. If they want singing lessons, we do singing lessons. We play soccer, we do dance, we do all of that. And we actually write for grants for that money, and we get it almost every year. We're trying really hard to make sure kids can be in extracurricular activities. It's so important for them.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's also an opportunity for their foster parents to take a deep breath at some point in their day. So, again, you can drop off your gift certificates of any kind or gift cards to 108 West Chicago. If you are not in Tecumseh, we always laugh, like it's like at least 3 hours to drive to Tecumseh, but we drive 8 every day for 20 minutes.
Right.
But if you're not gonna make it to Tecumseh, you can also call our office or message us on our Facebook page, because we will make arrangements to pick the stuff up from you. We don't expect everyone to drive to Tecumseh to drop them off. So I appreciate everything you do. I appreciate the lives that you're touching and changing. And I hope that this also encourages people who maybe at the back of their mind have always said, well, I might consider doing that, but I don't really know where to start. Well, now you know where to start. You start with Tracy, and she can walk you through becoming a foster parent and opening up your heart and your home to some child who really needs it. This has been Janice Montalvo with Tracy Ventola with Catholic Charities. Make it a great day.